The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome. Thank you everybody for hopping on our webinar featuring our top backup partner, Quorum. We're going to talk about a lot of great things with my pals, Bill Mork, who's the sales director at Quorum, and Gabe Gamble, who's the VP of Product and Tech Ops. So fasten your seatbelts. It is going to be a fast ride, though I will say probably be smooth with a little turbulence. We're going to meet Productive Corp in 1 minute, and then we're going to hop right in and start learning about the Quorum Advantage. One of my favorite features, VIP VMware integrated protection, though they're not limited to protecting VMware. The appliances are highly configurable, so you're going to dig that. And this is a solution that can help with cyber insurance. If your cyber insurer is telling you you need immutable backups, they got you covered. We're going to talk about a few more things beyond what's on the agenda. So great learning opportunity. If you have questions along the way, please chat them to me and we'll introduce them into the conversation. So without any further ado, let's meet Productive in 1 minute. We help clients with security posture and amazing solutions for many areas and needs. With 20 years, really 23 years of experience and expertise, we understand the issues and which solutions make sense for different clients in different verticals. We also offer many security services to help you combat ransomware, identity threats, and other advanced attacks. Check us out at productivecorp.com or visit our YouTube channel, youtube.com/productivecontent, and see a lot of the cool videos and informative stuff we've put on there. The bottom line, though, is we can help you. Check us out, help@productivecorp.com. Reach out to your Productive account exec, and let's get this thing moving forward. Stand by, Bill. I'm going to transfer control over to you. Meet Bill Mork. You should see a little pop-up there, Bill, and feel free to take it away.
Thanks, Pete. Hey, everybody. This is Bill, and I'm just going to try to, there we go, blow up my screen.
We gotcha.
It's going to be a quick 30-minute presentation, so I'll just spend a couple minutes orienting ourselves with Quorum and kind of what makes us great and what we cover, and then I'll pass it over to our VP of Technology, Gabe, who's going to lead us through a demonstration and kind of get the lay of the land and show the user interface. I think I'll just fast forward through a couple of slides. Again, it's introductory demonstration. If you'd like to see a more thorough demonstration one-on-one, just reach out to Pete and the guys at Productive, and we can set up a more thorough demonstration where we can ask us questions and kind of lead a tailor-led demo. Some big reasons why Quorum is chosen by our clients. I think security's got to be spoken about. We're really purpose-built. It's in our DNA, actually. The product that lives today came birthed out of a project for the U.S. Navy. And so high availability was number one on that priority list, but security was right there as well. And so from our foundation, that's been top of mind. That made us really popular with financial, legal, financial healthcare institutes for a long time. Now that ransomware is so rampant, it's all of our clients and shapes and sizes are beckoning for like a purpose-built solution with immutable backups, air gaps from the rest of the production systems, and encryption, all the multi-factor authentication, all the things that you'd want to see there. So that none of the other disasters have gone away, like fires, flood, power outages, network outages. But it seems like today that the number one disaster people want to make sure they can recover from is ransomware. So we always make sure that we focus on that. Then I'll just cycle back up here to ease of use. Kind of starts with implementation. We give a purpose-built hardware with a lot of our configurations. It comes ready to plug in. And then from there, you're led through a white glove service or implementation, which is usually a couple of calls. There's no special certification course required to learn how to use Quorum. It was actually designed even for non-technical people to be able to understand and use. That goes down to when we're in a disaster, we think that complexity is something that you don't want in play. So our one-click instant restore has been a claim to fame for a long time. Speaks a lot to the ease of the recovery, but also to the speed of it as well. We're looking for no more than 5 minutes of downtime, regardless of the outage, whether that's a, hey, I deleted a file I shouldn't have, we lost a single VM or a virtual host, all the way up to that doomsday where we are having an entire site outage, we might be having to recover offsite. When I move down here to the bottom to speak about completeness of solution, for me, that means quite a few things with Quorum. One that talks about our recovery, so we kind of touched on it a bit about file level, VM, a virtual host, but our disaster recovery as a service offering is unparalleled. You're able to fail over in less than 5 minutes and stay failed over at production speeds for an unlimited amount of time at no additional cost. We think that's one of our most valuable service that we're offering. We hope you never have to use it, but in the case that you do, it's a great security blanket and a fail-safe. We also cover systems regardless of how they're configured. I'll talk more about that here on the next slide. And our 24/7 US-based support. We're really fortunate that our technical team, both on the development and on the support side, have been with our team for a long time. That means that they're really experts at the product and know it inside and out, which helps with a really good user experience and good relations with our customers as well. When we talk about how a system's set up, a lot of our clients are moving things into AWS or Azure while keeping some on-prem servers, whether those be physical or virtual. Pete mentioned that we do some really cool stuff with VMware, as well as SQL, but regardless of how your environment's set up, we want to be able to protect it with Quorum. For us, that ease of use goes back to having one solution to manage them all, just making things unified throughout all of our production environment. And down below is just some high-level functionality that I'll let Gabe demonstrate to us in just a moment. Instant recovery is right at the top of the list. If downtime is okay for your organization, there's probably other solutions out there that are going to do that job for you. We're really focused on business continuity, making sure there's minimal interruption to our clients' servers, regardless of the issue or the scale of it. And we're providing that with on-prem servers. Some of our clients have a co-location that they use for their DR, and many of our clients rely on our private cloud, which is PCI and HIPAA compliant, to recover their servers and get their data offsite. Having said that, the legacy tools you would think that would be included in a backup in the DR tool are right here, such as file restore, which is probably maybe the least impactful, but the most commonly requested feature. Also bare metal restore if we need it, including to dissimilar hardware. Some reporting analytics that shows better than it tells, so I'll let Gabe touch on that. Archive and cold storage. As I mentioned, a lot of our clients are compliance driven, like financial, legal, healthcare. So they have requirements to keep data sometimes up to 7 years. And so we have a policy manager that helps them keep that in check. And a couple nice things about our retention is that it's based on the initial backups. So there's no conflict in the backup jobs, but also there's a lot of efficiency there because we don't have to take additional snapshots to capture those archives. And the cool part is, since they are part of that original backup sequence, that they are recoverable as well if you ever need to go back in time and pull up an entire image instead of just a file. And then finally, our test dev sandbox is kind of a byproduct of our solution being virtually air-gapped from the rest of your system, which creates a safe space for us to, maybe if we've been hit with ransomware, to recover first so that we know that we've gotten rid of the virus, or if we have patch and updates coming out the software, we can install them there and make sure that there's no corruption or bugs to the update before we move that patch out to the production environment. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Pete, I'll let you do the pathing because I don't want to break anything, so I won't touch it. And Gabe, if you lead us through the software, I'll go ahead and go on mute here.
Sounds good. I'm just waiting for the
you
pass
should
of the
see
baton
controls. Yeah, you should see
There
controls
we go.
popping up. One last thing
Yep,
I wanted to throw in there. Bill said, no additional charge for recovery. That's one of the things I think that a lot of your CFOs will like about Quorum is the cost is predictable. There's no surprises once you acquire the appliance and get it configured. If you need to recover, if you need to stand up in the Quorum cloud for 5 days or 7 days or 8 days, there's not going to be a surprise bill that comes your way. So you can use it as much as you need to, as much as you have to, and not get any surprise charges. And I think a lot of clients really dig that aspect of it. Go ahead, Gabe.
All right, can you guys see my screen okay?
We got you.
Perfect. So this is the Quorum HQ interface. This is kind of like the equivalent of vCenter. It's where you would manage all of your appliances in your environment, all of your cloud instances, everything that you have protected in Quorum in one pane of glass, so you can see everything going on. Most customers have this sitting locally on their systems, and so they can manage everything locally and do everything they want to do. We also have an individual interface for each appliance that you can get to do things from the local appliance. So if you had a disaster and you were recovering at the local location and you lost your headquarters application, you can still get to everything and recover everything just as easily. So you see, this is my lab environment. I have 4 servers I'm packing up. I have a lending machine, just a generic Windows box. I have a domain controller, Exchange server, and a SQL server. We can back up Linux and Windows machines. There's no problem there, as well as any physical, virtual on any hypervisor. So if you're running KVM or Zen server, Hyper-V, Nutanix, or VMware. And with VMware, we actually have an extra layer of integration where we have what we call VIP. So you can actually recover directly back to VMware to bring up those servers instantly. But with any solution that we have the ability to recover locally. And so I'm going to show you both a VIP recovery and a local recovery so you can see exactly what we're talking about when we recover our boxes. So with VIP, if this server, let's say, had gone down, to recover this server, you really just click the VIP button. You enter the name of the server you're getting to. So we're going to this one. So we're going to go to the second server since the production one is on the main server. And username and password. And export to VMware. That's all it takes. Now I'm going to actually come up with a IP conflict because I left the production server up, but that's okay. I'll deal with that afterwards. And that's all it takes. So if we go log into this server where there's nothing here, you'll see the empty storage and everything. You'll see a new data store is going to get mounted. Our VM is going to get created, and it's just going to boot up. And that's how easy it is to recover directly back to VMware. It's a pretty straightforward process. There's no real hurdles to doing that. I mean, you saw me do it in 2 seconds. I'll come back to this screen here in just a second. The other thing I wanted to show you is the recovery onto the OnQ appliance. So it's still running the recovery process.
And the reason that you have a conflict there, Gabe, is because that replica is going to be identical to the production machine. So ideally, the reason you're recovering is that primary machine's down. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The same IP is the same everything. So if we go here, manage our host, you can see now I have 2 data stores and the virtual machine is created and it's booting. So I'm about to get an IP conflict in my test lab, but that's okay. It's just a test lab. The other thing we can do is we can recover directly back to the OnQ. So you can see in this case, I've already started a server in the test network, And so I'm just going to go connect to the console of it, and you can see this is running on the OnQ appliance. So this is not on my production VMware. This is not even running VMware. We're running on a KVM hypervisor and a Zen hypervisor, depending on your version of the OnQ, to recover this box. So we're going to bring it up, and I'm back in production. So I can actually, because I have this isolated test network, I can bring up my entire network in the test network. All the servers will see each other, and I can do a full DR test without affecting production. That's a rare thing in this day and age. And I can do that locally on the appliances I have at my environment, or I can do it remotely in the cloud, depending on how you're configured and set up. All of our backups are immutable. There is a logical air gap between all of the storage. So the storage is not sitting on your network. You can't see it. And everything we do is encrypted at rest and in transit. So as Bill alluded to earlier, security is our number one thing. So everything we do is focused on security. We have multi-factor authentication and all the bells and whistles. We do not do single sign-on because we have to be able to work when everything else breaks. So we don't trust anything in your environment, even your DNS. We create our own host files on the servers we're protecting so that nothing breaks when the world crashes around you. So everything is done with a security focus and 100% recoverability standard. Another thing I wanted to put in there is, to this date, we have not lost a customer to ransomware. So while we've had, I don't know, hundreds of customers that have gotten ransomware, we've been able to recover every single server that has been infected. So that's a rare thing that I don't think a lot of other people can say, because we have this zero trust with your environment. When your network is compromised, it doesn't mean our network is compromised. So that's really it. I mean, I just recovered the server twice, one to directly back to VMware, and one we had it booted in the test network. So you can see we can recover everything in just a couple of clicks and bring you back up and running in a matter of minutes. So I tried to keep the demo pretty simple and straightforward to show you exactly how easy this was to recover.
So, Gabe, if I can hop in with a couple of questions for you. So, first, kind of wanted to reiterate, Bill had shared with me, I think it was last month or maybe it was in January, that I think last year you guys had over 40 customers call in for support with a ransomware attack, and Bill had said or maybe it was 45, 100% of them success in recovery. So that's huge.
That's correct.
Of the reason behind that is this solution is easy to use. That's for sure. I think one of the big things behind that everybody should know, and one of the reasons that we love these guys so much, is Quorum really stands behind the solution and the customers. Extremely helpful group at helping you get started, getting set up, making sure that it's working, extremely responsive to customer issues, and it really puts you into a situation that you're successful right from the start.
Right.
So that's huge.
And our support team, most of our support team actually comes from IT background. So the people that we hired and brought on board, trained on our product and stuff, all were IT administrators, most of them for people in the banking industry. So these are folks that have kind of been through the fires for years and years, and they've kind of come over to our product to support it. So they have a full understanding of how to recover in a disaster, doing disaster recovery planning and BCP planning and all of that. They come with a huge skill set, so they know exactly how to get that server up and running if you have a disaster. The other thing I wanted to spend a minute on is, we touched on it, is the file level recovery capabilities. So we can do all of those normal things as well, recovering files for any of your servers from any point in time. And it's really, just as you would expect file level recovery to be. You pick your C drive, you pick your files and folders, so on and so forth. Very straightforward. The other piece that I wanted to talk about for this, make sure you guys see files and folders, there we go, is we have a thing called window share recovery. And if you've never seen this, this is really actually a pretty clever way we've done this. We can activate the share, and you can literally map a drive to the OnQ, with a unique username and password that has a 30-minute timeout of inactivity. So it's not something that's just going to leave a vulnerability in your environment and be up and running all the time. So this username and password can only be used by one user one time, and they can map a drive, and then they can literally drag and drop files back into production. So you could give that to a user to recover the Excel spreadsheet that he lost, and he can get it himself. We log all of the steps that were taken, all the people that connected, everything that was done, so you have that full visibility to what happens with this as well. But that's another way we can recover data back into your environment, separate from file level recovery. And then, of course, we have a full suite of analytics here to give you all of the data that you need. Sorry, I don't usually set up my my DR stuff. I want to look at the HA data. There we go. So full suite of analytics to give you all the data on your backup statistics, your self-tests, how big your snapshots are. And this is a great report because you can dig into each snapshot. So I can go into Exchange individually and I can say, oh, how big was this backup, that backup, and so forth. To give you an idea of what's taking space. Maybe you had a file server and all of a sudden one backup was huge because Bob in accounting uploaded, videos of cats. I don't know. So you have all that capability. You have total data protected, your backup durations, how long they take, snapshot sizes, and then you have this great graph here, which is called backup trends. And it basically comprises all of the above into one thing. So you can see how long your backups are, and they look like little threads. I don't know if you guys can see it in the shared screen as I mouse over. Each thread comes through here, and you can see that backups time, snapshot size, node usage, duration, files backed up, and transfer time to the DR. So you can get a good visibility of everything going on. And then when you have a thread that's out of line, that gives you kind of an idea of, hey, there was an anomaly here versus my standard. So it's a really good report to give you all of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, your full repository size and your on-queue space, all of that stuff is there available to you as well. All of these data points can be exported into different formats, so you can comprise them and upload them, share them, and report up your ladder and all of that stuff as well. So they're all there and available to you along with everything else. So in a full suite, we can do pretty much anything you need in one single solution.
Hey, Gabe, question for you. We do a free NIST assessment for our clients. And one of the common questions that we ask is, how frequently do you test recovery? And most folks answer never, or we don't have a process to do that. But that's something you can do very easily with Quorum. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so there's two factors to our testing that are really good. We have a patented method for self-test. So every server we back up is booted up in a test network. We make sure that Windows starts or the OS starts. It can communicate on the test network, and so the networking is working and the machine is actually running. A lot of testing will give you a screenshot of the boot load screen, but you don't know if it's locked up there or if the networking is right or anything else. So this is actually a full self-test of the machine to make sure that everything is working. So that's the first piece. We have a patented piece for that, for self-test. And the other piece I kind of alluded to earlier was the test network. So I can actually bring up one or all of my servers or any subset in a test network that can do a full DR test. So I can test applications, I can do user acceptance testing. I can actually assign that test network to a separate NIC in the back of the appliance so that you can cordon that off and do user acceptance testing and never once affect your production environment. That is the biggest hurdle that most people feel when they're trying to do a DR test, is they don't want to take down production because it's such a painful activity. With the self-test feature or the self-test network, you can actually bring up everything, do a full DR test, have your users come in one at a time, test their applications, let you know that they're working, that the data is up to date, and you never once took down your production environment, so there's no impact to your company at all.
And this can help you also identify what to do if you need to recover, right? So you're learning along the way. This can also help you see how quickly you can recover. Is that correct, Gabe? So you can plan out RTOs, RPOs?
you can get a sense of all your boot times and stuff. We also have a policy manager that manages your enrollment process. There's a different policy for backups, and then there's a policy for archiving for long-term retention, and you can set up policies for recovery. And the recovery policies are really cool because you can say, well, I have an Exchange server, but I can't start my Exchange server without a domain controller. So it's going to look on the network first for your domain controller. If it doesn't find it, it'll start the domain controller. Then it'll start the Exchange server. And you can set up that list of rules that you want to follow for all your servers. So you could literally recover your entire network with one click and have it follow your own process to bring everything up. So that's a full recovery policy capability as well.
Nice. And so those are valuable tools that make it easy for you to verify and validate what's going on. And again, that is a big thing that we talk to folks not doing, that you need to do it so that you're both prepared and know that you can recover in the time that you think you can recover in. So extremely helpful. Gabe,
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about the cloud? So there's a cloud option that can be added in. So you're backing up locally. You're transferring data to the Quorum cloud, which is secured and protected by them. So it's private cloud. A lot of our customers, Gabe, terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data. How do you get started seeding all that data into the cloud?
Yeah, so what we do is we put an appliance on site to do your local backups to give your first level of recovery capabilities. Most of the time, that is the situation. We can do direct to cloud, but we'll table that for right now. Let's focus on the appliance. So we would put an appliance on site to take the first level of backup, and then we would send you what's called a seed box. And the seed box is really just another on-queue that can take that data, put on the seed box, and FedEx it to our cloud locations. And we have a cloud location on the East Coast and the West Coast to give you geodiversity in your clouds. We would then populate the cloud instance, connect the VPN, and incremental snapshots would go across the wire. Each customer in our cloud, by the way, is PCI and HIPAA certified, but each customer in our cloud is given their own virtual firewall so that they can mimic their subnets, their ACLs, any other needs that they have networking wise in their environment. And so each customer gets their own virtual firewall that we set up with them during the enrollment and get all configured so that when and if they should have a disaster, they can actually mimic their entire local network within the cloud. And then of course it's all customers get up to 3 physical IP addresses, public IP addresses that they can be assigned so that they can reset DNS if they have any public facing web servers or mail servers or anything like that as well. So a lot of flexibility in our cloud. We even have customers that have decided to host their own remote connectivity appliances into our cloud so that they can recover in a way that their users are already comfortable with. So there's lots of flexibility there as well.
Easy to, especially if you've got limited sites. We have some customers that'll put an appliance at 2 different sites and they can replicate back and forth. But if you've only got one site, or maybe you just don't have tech staff at other sites, or a place where you can put technology safely at other sites, you've got the Quorum Cloud to help protect you where you could actually serve your environment from in the case of something really significant, which could be a fire or a flood or something that brings the whole building down. And pretty easy to get started with that seed appliance.
Oh yeah, and the seed, I mean, as they say, right? Bandwidth is limited, FedEx is unlimited. It just takes 24 hours.
There you go. Yeah, so that's a quick way to get started there. We're at the end of our time. If there's any additional questions, please chat them to me. I'll be happy to introduce them and make sure that we get them answered. I want to thank my pals, Bill and Gabe, for hopping on and putting this presentation on for us. That was awesome. There is a lot of stuff that we didn't get a chance to talk about. And maybe you want to ask some specific questions about Scale Computing or Hyper-V or Nutanix, would be happy to do a custom demonstration for anybody who's interested. Reach out to me or your productive rep, or shoot us a note, help@productivecorp.com, and we'll be happy to get that on the schedule for you. Looks like no additional questions. I want to thank everybody for attending, and thanks, Bill and Gabe.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, take care, everybody.